Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Chips and Talk. Grab a snack. Let's chat. I believe this is episode 26. And this will be an interesting one because we're not going to be eating some chips today, or any snack for that matter. It's quite a depressing episode. As you can see, I don't even have the TV on. It's currently 1:36 in the morning. And I should not be talking right now. In fact, I'm pretty tired. I want to knock the hell out. But, sometimes it's good to put yourself on camera and get a microphone and just kind of talk. It's good therapy, I think, in a way. Recording is interesting because you're talking to someone, but at the same time, you're not. I don't know, it's interesting. That you're talking to someone, that you're performing in a way, but you also feel like you're talking to yourself and you feel like you're, just reflecting. It's very introspective. It's weird. It's a good middle ground. But anyways, I hope you're munching on something. I hope you're snacking on something. Please let me know in the comment section below what it is that you're snacking on. If you're on YouTube, that is where you can comment. superjesusjackson is my YouTube name. You're the real MVP if you're on that. Or you may be on Spotify or Apple Music. Whichever way you're joining me, I really appreciate it. Whether you're in the car, at the park, doing exercise, thank you so much. But yeah, I got my trusty water here, as you can see. Very essential. Drink your water. I heard it can help you shit really well if you drink water. But of course, here at Chips and Talk, we literally grab a snack. Like I said, in this case, we're not grabbing anything. But then we go to the internet and we pick a random topic to discuss here on the podcast. And oftentimes, we pick multiple topics. As in, we talk about something and then we switch topics. So, and usually tradition dictates that we do some ASMR. I don't know, does that count? Does that count? Does that count for you? Yeah, I don't know. I think people use special, mics for that ASMR action. As you can see, I don't. This is the SM47B or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't think it's an ASMR mic. Although I'm pretty sure I could make it an ASMR mic, but I'm not going to do that. But let's see. Okay. Let's get started here. Random topic generating now. What is the longest book you've read? I think I've done this topic before. Nope, I've done this topic before. Who do you think has the biggest impact on fashion trends? Oh, this is interesting. Who do you think has the biggest impact on fashion trends? Actors and actresses, musicians, fashion designers, or consumers? Most definitely musicians. And then I think the second is actors and actresses, or just actors. Movies definitely have a big impact on fashion and culture, but I think music definitely has the biggest impact. I mean, come on, we literally have fashion, for every decade. We think of the 20s, with the suspenders, and the dresses that women had, and the heels, and the long, suits, and we think of, and then for some reason the 30s and the 40s were all just depressing and no one gave a shit about fashion because that was a dark period in time. The 50s, of course, was a revival. And same thing, just long suits and dresses and shit. And the 60s, of course, we got the hippie action going on, and the disco with the 70s and the flowery attire, and the what's the fucking the swivelly things that fucking drag in your arms. I don't know what the fuck they're called, but a lot of actually Mexican attire, Hispanic attire for regional musicians That they tend to dress like that too. So that's interesting. But, and then 80s, of course, we have a lot of colorful outfits and the Michael Jackson outfits and shit, 90s, some NSYNC outfits and, Britney Spears, and the sagging and hip hop, so there's a lot of shit. And, and I think music definitely has the biggest influence. And of course, in a way, it's weird because the music videos definitely had a huge influence on fashion and shit like that. I think fashion designers very much, I don't know if they start trends. I think they pick up on trends and then they make outfits from there. I could be very well wrong. I very well could be. Consumers, it all depends. I think everything adds a little bit, but I think music and culture affect consumers and consumers affect culture. And, and it is true that music and movies and art in general they move wherever society goes, and vice versa. It's a ping pong game. You can't say one is more important than the other. It's kind of the chicken or the egg argument. So, but I do think music really has a huge impact, in terms of just fashion, So I was going a little bit off topic there, but in terms of fashion, I think music has the biggest. Oh, sorry if you heard that. I think music has the biggest impact. I mean, when we think of just the way people dress, I mean, Michael Jackson influenced so many people in the way they dressed. Elvis Presley, the way he dressed. Most definitely Madonna, Lady Gaga, just the influence on fashion and culture is Prince is just undeniable, grunge, come on, grunge, let's the plaid, outfit, the jeans and the torn look. So it's most definitely a thing. And I don't think any other medium has the most impact on fashion than music and musicians. So next topic. What is something you are obsessed with? A lot of things, of course, as many of us are. I'm obsessed, unfortunately, with, I'm going to get deep here, with contradiction and always looking for gratification and, I don't know if it's perfection. I mean, it might be perfection, but, I'm an idealist. And I'm obsessed with things being right all the time, and I get disillusioned very easily. I could have easily said, Cheetos, but of course I went with the deep answer. But I guess the thing that I am most obsessed with is contradiction. My brain is, for some reason, it just feels like it's hardwired to think of opposite things at all times. So if you tell me to think red, I think blue. And I think a lot of people work this way. I don't think I'm special, but I think everyone is special in their own way, of course. That's pretty redundant, but I think that at the rate that my brain is like, or at the rate that my brain works with contradiction and how often it resorts to that, to the degree that it does, I think is very important to note as well. There's examples that I could give, but that'd be going too personal. But I'm gonna try to give some sort of example. I'm gonna give you a door to my brain, but contradiction is a huge part of who I am. It has to do with everything that I love. Like so many things that I love are contradictory. But, then I go back and forth and I'm like, do I find contradiction in it, or is it contradiction by itself, And that's a duality. That's another duality. It's contradiction right there. So, I think I have a romanticism with contradiction. I think anything great has to be contradicting. If it's not contradicting, then it's not great. But in many ways, anything has contradiction, everything has contradiction. So I think that's one of the things for sure, is that I constantly always look for the contradiction in anything, if I'm working a job, I think about how much it's great, but I also think about how much it sucks. and I focus, and I tend to, and this is where the perfection obsession comes in, is where I tend to focus too much on the negative, tend to focus too much on what I don't have. Again, these are things that affect everyone. But what's so funny is that I find people that, I run into people that are the complete opposite of that. And I always come into conflict with them because their mindset is much more positive than mine. And it becomes a huge hurdle for me and for them, I imagine, right? So, it definitely sucks. And I constantly have, just drama in my decisions in my life. I fucking have to flip a coin oftentimes for big decisions because I think both things are have enough reasons to pick them, and so I have to fucking use a coin to end up choosing and deciding what to do at the end of the day. It's kind of pathetic, but at the same time, it's interesting. So there we go, contradiction. Literally, I'm just a walking contradiction. That's who I am, and it's great for art, but a lot of the times it is, a lot of the times it's great for art, but a lot of the times it is also sucky for life in general. It makes me indecisive. I never know what I want. I struggle with commitment. Take with that, do with that what you will, and it's debilitating. It almost feels like I have something that I can't control, and I wish I could, just erase it out of my mind. I wish I could be consistent for once in my life and pick something wholeheartedly because I believe in it 100%, and my brain is not thinking of the other possibility or why I didn't do this or what, and I don't know, but the more that I get old, the older that I get, it's easier to kind of find the things that I am very much in tune with, but I still struggle with things that I know are good for me and I know that are great and I know that are really worthwhile, but I'm looking at that other thing, and I'm like, but what about that? And that is, and I focus on the things that I don't have all the time. But I, don't get me wrong. I know that I do that sometimes. And I very much tell myself, look, it's not about, it's always trying, like I'm always trying to find the next best thing, right? Of course. But like, at the same time, I know that I'm never satisfied with anything, so it's almost like that gives me a little bit of peace, because that tells me that, okay, well, look, like, nothing in this life will satisfy you fully, so just fucking go with the thing that is there right now and do your best to work with that, because that's it. That's the struggle there, is acceptance and finding a way to live with it and finding the beauty in the present and the things that you have and valuing what's in front of you. And that's the real challenge, because in my brain, I'm like, oh, the real challenge is getting the thing that I want. But, that's, I just will do that. And then I'll fucking have a dilemma with that. And then I'll get the other thing. And then I'll have another dilemma with that. So it's just a fucking never ending thing. And it's obsession. It's insanity. It's like Voss in Far Cry 3 where he says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And that is me. But, again, nothing new. I'm sure it plagues you in some way, shape, or form. But I just say it because in my personal life, I find a lot of people that the special people that have come into my life are not that way usually. So it sucks. Or it could be that they're not. It could be that they're, they are the opposite of me, or they do the things that are opposite of me because I am the opposite. So they do the opposite. Maybe with someone else that is like them, they'll be like me. But hey, that's my brain. So there we go. Do you text more or call more? I definitely text more nowadays, but because of my job, I'm a journalist, I call a lot, but that's for my work. But I definitely prefer to like the people that I like to hang around with, and the people that I like to talk to. I text them, more often, but I do wish I could call them a lot, and I like to hang out, of course. So, but unfortunately, we live nowadays in a world where we don't need to be calling all the time. But for the people that I really, really care about, you got to call them. Texting fucking sucks with anyone that you enjoy conversation with. It's fucking ridiculous. And there's people that that are completely that like you and like to hang out with you and shit, and still fucking prefer to text you. And I'm just like, what the? It boggles my mind that people like to do that, but people like to do that. It's especially with the pandemic, I think it's fucked over our communication. We have been distanced with ourselves for a while, but I think technology was already going this way and the pandemic just accelerated it. In fact, obviously the pandemic accelerated any fucking problem, the supply chain, climate change, social injustice, disparities in the economy and income, and class warfare, it's only just fucking prolonged it and made it worse. So it's really not, a surprise that we have now shifted away completely almost of fucking calling people and communicating with them. Just think about you going outside and meeting your neighbor, and saying hi and being like, hey, how you doing today? Fuck that's no one fucking does that. No one wants to do that. And it's sad and disgusting in a way, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to do that either. Like it's just fucking weird. I'd rather just stare at my computer and do what I want to do and do the shit that I need to do and only interact when I have to. So it's definitely sad. And it's a product of the acceleration of technology and acceleration of individuality, but at the same time, we are in a culture where we are so focused on groups and communities, but at the same time, we only care about ourselves, and contradiction. There we go. But texting is, I think, texting is weird. Unless you're doing it with someone who you're completely comfortable with, it's annoying because anything written, at least in today's day and age, I'm a very anxious person. So like when someone writes me something, I'm constantly thinking about the tone and the mood and how they're writing it. And I always second guess myself so many times when I respond to someone and I rewrite things and all this and that because I just want to get it right. I don't want that person to think that I mean something else when I really mean this, and I'm always trying, and I'm also not a confrontational person. I think texting and writing things can easily lend themselves to that. I always try to put like exclamation points and things or whatnot just to not seem aggressive because periods, just by themselves can seem that way. Although that's not what they automatically should be. Like, it's just a sentence. It's a period, you don't have to put an exclamation point in anything. But I don't know. It's fucking weird, and maybe it's a product of technology and how I'm trying to bridge that gap, and I'm trying to create that warmth that you can feel with someone being in person through text, and so that's why, I do an influx of exclamation points and just punctuation in general, because I just want to alleviate that strictness, that kind of dead, lifeless communication that can come with texting, and just using words to communicate. It's really interesting. And, and we think about back in the day when people just used to just fucking write letters to each other. But, that was interesting too, because they waited fucking forever, for a letter. And so whenever you got a letter from someone, it was really special because you waited a while to hear back from them, and then you respond, and then you're really excited, and people used to fucking write in cursive and write really nicely and legible, but nowadays people don't give a shit anymore because you don't have to, you don't have to fucking work on your penmanship, you'd send it out and then fucking wait, and it's a long process, and it was a very special process. And now we don't value that anymore, So it's very interesting. It's texting and calling. It is all connected with society and communication. And people just don't want to communicate as much as, at least in the way that they used to. Although, I don't know, maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe we all fucking like each other, but maybe not. I don't fucking like anyone. So I don't know. It's just very easy to think of, think that we're all going to shit, when you start going on Twitter or when you're on Facebook or whatever the fuck, right? But social media is such a like an echo chamber, that it's difficult to just fucking assume, because it is one section, one little corner of the world of society, and you can't. It's not really fair to just like fucking put the whole world into that little small fucking corner. You know what I mean? Like, of social media or whatever, because everyone's social media experience is quite different, But a lot of people do tend to say, oh, Twitter's toxic or whatever, or Instagram is just toxic, and there was a little bit of that in my feed as well, of course. But for the most part, it's pretty decent. But that's my experience, it just depends. But everyone's experience is different. Some people might be having the best time of their lives right now. Maybe they're communicating to the degree that they've never been able to. So I'm not sure. I think it very much depends. So, all right, final topic here. What's your favorite way to get exercise? If I could, I would walk, like just around, a neighborhood, a park. I would love to do that. That would be my favorite way, or run, That'd be my absolute favorite way to get exercise. But unfortunately, I don't have that to my availability. I don't live in an area where where I'm able to do that. So like, I have to go to the gym and shit, So it sucks, but you got to do what you got to do, And I used to I started working out. I used to walk like around my backyard, and that didn't get really old. Like, I was fine doing that. It's just the problem was, like, I needed to get more exercise, so I had to fucking get a gym membership. So, but I feel like I could have done it. I would walk for like 30 minutes around in circles around my backyard. That was the thing. So, I definitely can do that. But, my body called for more exercise. But there we have it, everyone. That was Chips and Talk. Grab a snack. Let's chat. Episode 26. I believe it's 26. Yeah, episode 26. Interesting episode. I feel like I talked a lot about communication and shit, right? Texting or calling. I think that's probably one of the biggest conversations. And then fashion designers and music and shit, and just fashion in general, culture. Interesting episode. I'm sorry I don't have any chips or chocolate or any snacks. I'm actually really hungry right now, but it's 2 a.m, so I gotta go to sleep. And but anyways, there we have it. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If it's your morning, I hope you have a great morning. If it's your night, I hope you have a great rest of your night. Get a good night's sleep. If you're exercising, hope you're burning them calories and getting the results you want. But that's it for me. You guys take care. Stay safe. And until next time, I love you.